We've done it because we love TV. TV is more than just entertainment, it's cultural.
In 2019, one of the largest tech giants in the world made a gentle pivot. And by gentle pivot, I mean one of the largest brand pivots that we've ever seen in the brand universe. We're talking about the Big Apple. Not that Big Apple, the other one. In the spring of 2019, a year before the world ended, Apple announced the launch of two services, Apple Arcade and Apple TV+. Apple is betting all of their future, not just on television, but on storytelling. And here's why you should care. Hi, my name is Emily Hill, fellow media scholar, and today we're going to be talking about Apple is using Apple TV as a super high stakes brand experiment. Not only that, we're going to ask ourselves, did it work? And more importantly, does Apple think it worked? Answer is no. So we're going to take it back to 2019, which is traumatic for all of us to do. Silicon Valley was in an absolute gold rush of SaaS, service as a software. So this massive rise, not just in volume, but in money and investment in SaaS, allowed a lot of media conglomerates and tech conglomerates to believe that SaaS was the future, that in fact, SaaS with the subscription model was the future. For $9.99 a month and a big dream, you too can be a billionaire. So despite the fact that this was a huge heyday, there was actually not necessarily a perfect fit for Apple hardware. How could Apple use and kind of pivot into something brand new with SaaS and really innovative? Apple, as we all know, has a legacy of being a bit of an innovative powerhouse. At least they did. Apple as a brand had been struggling the entirety of the 2010s pretty much. No, not in a sales capacity. They're selling you more than hardware, right? They're selling you a lifestyle. And it seemed like in 2010, Apple was really struggling to do that. Sales is great. So this is a bit of speculation that we're saying that Apple wasn't content with their brand image, despite the fact that they're having great record-breaking sales and their stock's really healthy. But I have three reasons for you on why I believe that Apple wasn't satisfied with their brand and flailing a bit. Number one, truffle-a-trees. Not actually truffle-a-trees, but hardware is finite. People are not buying hardware every couple of years. More mindful consumerism with electronics is very much on the rise. And yeah, it does come in conjunction with this economy. Number two, software is infinite, like O'Hare Air. Apple's been no stranger to software, particularly their proprietary software, but all of that has been really connected to their hardware itself. And so Apple TV was this huge pivot into a software subscription content creation space that actually isn't connected to Apple as a technology brand at all. The only thing that you are having to find and develop is people's attention. Number three, Steve Jobs ghost lingered. Okay, they lost their visionary, they lost their CEO, and really you can tell the 2010s, a lot of innovation slowed down. Not product releases, mind you, innovation slowed down. And so this pivot into software, into content creation, into Apple TV, into TV is obviously, in my opinion, a cry for help from the brand. And to be clear, this pivot into a company deciding to get into the streaming wars in 2019, that in itself is not innovative. Sorry, Apple.
Oh, that sounded really bratty.
But you know who was doing that? Media companies. Companies with decades of IP to back up, oh, this is why we're going into streaming, because we've in any capacity been in the entertainment space. The originality stems from these hoops that must have happened internally in Apple from, and I go, consumer hardware, software, SaaS, prestige TV, lots of hoops. You know, maybe there was someone on the board and this is their passion project and they're burning billions of dollars. That could also be true. Minus some great ads, particularly video ads.
Business as usual.
Okay, yes, some great ads, no one's denying it. But just because you have an office full of Don Drapers doesn't mean you can produce Mad Men. If we take it from 2019 when Apple announces this, ignore the trauma of 2020, and then go straight into 2025, we have to ask ourselves, did this huge gamble from Apple pay off? I'm here to tell you it depends on who you ask, despite 81 Emmy nominations this year. And I think Apple has been clearer and clearer about how they feel about their gamble. So, as a streaming powerhouse, yes, you can say it's a massive success, right? 81 Emmy nominations. Apple TV has been called the HBO of streaming. Okay, they want you to feel how you felt in the last 5 minutes, right, of the Sopranos series finale. And they want you to feel that way in every series. Apple TV has been called all sorts of things, a Tesla for the eyeballs, for example. And this was definitely when Tesla was a lot cooler and not a symbol for fascism. Apple really wants to create elite, high quality, kind of auteur television. So Apple's decision to go into this elite prestige TV but make it this hidden gem that only a select few are really discovering makes us all wonder what the heck is Apple TV's bottom line. Like, if they keep this quality over quantity, originals only approach, they're never going to catch up with the streaming giants. Maybe that's not what they're doing. But we need to go back to this argument of why does Apple even care about television in the first place? And I'll give you 2 words: cultural relevancy. Basically, Apple is struggling to remain relevant. Apple essentially thinks that they need something like Apple TV and Apple Arcade. They need to create cultural artifacts that people are going to talk about. And yeah, I would agree with that, right? Like, that is how brands stay relevant, is through cultural engagement. And video games, television, very culturally relevant, a cultural artifact. Like, if you're watching anything on Apple TV that's not one of the big 3, I'm sure you feel like you found a hidden gem, because you have. And with this lack of marketing, it's going to remain a hidden gem, because Apple is only cultivating this more elite secret club feeling. And you know what elite secret club feeling means?
Not a high volume of subscribers.
These hidden gems are incredibly costly to produce. I mean, we're all here after that article where Apple pretty much admitted that they're losing billions of dollars to streaming year over year. The numbers spell it out super clearly, by the way. I mean, look, as of April 2025, okay, this is when this chart was formed, Nielsen isn't even acknowledging Apple TV anywhere in this lineup. Nielsen's first half of 2025, yes, this is after severance, Nielsen's first half of 2025 report doesn't have a single piece of Apple TV anywhere in their volume reports. If your decision to go into streaming was to become this cultural engine powerhouse again, right, to be building cultural artifacts that people are talking about in the same way that everybody was talking about your iPhones 15 years ago. 6 years later, billions of dollars, some of the most star-studded directors, producers, and actors and actresses in history, and you've got a volume problem on your subscriber count. And here is the heart of the argument. Apple TV is Apple's hot dog and soda combo from Costco. It's the 70-cent bananas at Trader Joe's. It's a loss leader for Apple TV, so Apple can continue their Apple ecosystem, which is really this like walled garden effect where you have to be in the know, you have to get over the garden wall in order to reap the benefits of being an Apple exclusive member, which is going to be tied to hardware, software, Apple TV, Apple Arcade, etc. Even if the walled garden is really a secret garden because they're not marketing. But the question is, and I might have the answer to it, is Apple really willing to lose billions? All right, they admitted they were scaling back a little bit, but willing to lose billions of dollars on this bit of cultural relevancy? Is the apple falling too far from the tree, spreading its branches so far to the point of brand dilution? I say yes, and I think Tim Cook would as well. And who else to tell us this but the expert himself, Jude Law?
I am, Daddy.
Okay, Jude Law didn't actually say anything about Apple, but Apple TV announced just last week that it's going to do an adaptation of the absolute cult classic, The Holiday. Now, why does this matter? Despite the fact that I'm personally absolutely thrilled with this turn of events. It is a cultural artifact. It is a cult classic for the holidays. And it is a clear departure from any of the other Apple TV lineup. So they're getting out of the secret garden, right into the Cotswolds, and right into mainstream media. They are pivoting slowly but surely away from this internal elite programming into cult classics, mainstream culture. Apple TV said 6 years later, billions of dollars later, 81 Emmy nominations this year alone later, and they don't feel that they're culturally relevant. Apple TV and the Apple brand as a whole right now is just a lifetime experiment to see how long and how far can a brand identity push before it just snaps or fades into irrelevancy. Apple TV's experiment of being a cultural engine shows that even if you have billions of dollars, sustaining relevancy is really hard. Apple's whole shtick at the beginning was think different, right? And being an innovative powerhouse. But they knew somewhere in the 2010s that they lost that, and they lost that sense of creativity. They've been trying to get it back from here on out. And despite all of the money that they've thrown at it, all of the productions that they've made, they're still not able to create cultural powerhouses. You can't force an authentic cultural connection if it's not there.